Let me run you through 5 scenarios. This is it's inspired or borrowed from something that the BBC had put out, and let me just quickly get your take on what you think is the most likely. Scenario number 1, a short war, Russia escalates aggression, takes over Ukraine, President Zelenskyy is either assassinated or he flees, and Russia ends up facing some kind of prolonged Ukrainian insurgency. Scenario 2, a long war, the Russian invasion drags into months, they struggle to maintain control, and they eventually leave Ukraine bloodied, somewhat similar to the Afghan experience. Scenario 3, the war spills into Europe. Russia sees the supply of arms, Western arms to Ukraine as an act of aggression. They perhaps enter NATO territories, and then you get into the risk of nuclear war. Scenario 4, a diplomatic solution, fearing a backlash. Putin agrees to talk. Ukraine accepts Russian sovereignty over Russian-controlled areas. Putin accepts Ukraine independence. It's sort of pro-European tilt. Last scenario, Putin is ousted. As the deaths mount, there's an uprising against him. I can see you're smiling already. The West says to Russia, we'll withdraw sanctions if Putin goes, and he's ousted in a palace coup. Everyone lives happily ever after. You could have other scenarios, or there could be, but anyway, over to you.
Well, it's a very comprehensive list, and very well done.
BBC.
Look, yeah. The hope of parties that enter into military conflicts is always a clean, decisive victory. It very rarely happens. Think of Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya. Think of the Indo-Pak wars with the territories like Kashmir left in this kind of gray zone.
Right.
I think most likely is therefore the one you place as scenario 4, which is some kind of a less than perfect military solution for both sides, which then forces diplomacy, forces talks. Most wars end in that way. Clausewitz, the great Prussian strategist, said, yes, war is a continuation of politics by other means.
Yes.
And so in a sense, what happens is at the end of the war, the politics reemerges and you start talking. I would hope that that's where we go. And I hope that what I'm advocating is that you put enough pressure on Putin and you cut off enough of his revenues that he feels real pressure to make some compromises. To be fair to the Ukrainians, they have talked about compromising from the start.
Right.
Zelenskyy has talked about things like a neutral status. He has said maybe NATO membership was just a dream of Ukraine's, but will not be a reality. It's Putin who remains utterly intransigent, whose demands have escalated, who talks in, it's extraordinary, talks in crazy terms about Zelenskyy as being a neo-Nazi and a drug dealer and things like that, which
yes,
makes you wonder, is he really going to negotiate with this man? Is he going to compromise with him? So that still seems to be the blockage. But if one had to predict, and I just do this on the basis that most wars end in some imperfect brokered solution.
Okay. Well, let's hope that it's actually scenario 4, because that's the best case scenario for everybody.